All right, back live with you tonight here on In Focus. You have Treasurer General Omphile Maotwe is joining us now in studio for more reaction to that story. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on.
Good evening, Thabo. Good evening to the viewers of Newzroom.
So, I mean, first and foremost, I've got to say it's very difficult to speak to this report because the committee members tell us that they are bound by secrecy, so they are not allowed to speak to the media about the committee's business. So we're not actually even quite sure what they were looking at that led them to this conclusion. Nonetheless, the conclusion is that the deputy leader of EFF, Floyd Shivambu, received three payments, 100,000, 30,000 and 50,000. What is the response from the EFF to that?
No, thank you, Thabo. Firstly, let's correct the misinformation and false reporting by the likes of yourself and Junior Khumalo just now. I mean, all of you are saying the leader received money from VBS. It's not correct. And even the ethics committee itself came out and said that's not money from the VBS. The money is from a company, private company called Zgameka, which is owned by obviously the brother of the deputy president of the EFF. But I want us to walk out of this room being very crystal clear that the money is not from VBS, like everybody has been falsely reporting. He's been cleared. The president of the EFF, together with the deputy president of the EFF, both of them, have been cleared that the money does not come from the VBS. That's one. Two, Thabo, the ethics committee is disingenuous in their report because there is an affidavit that was taken under oath that says that this was loans that were given by Zgameka to the deputy president of the EFF. They never asked the deputy president to produce bank statements that support that indeed the money was a loan. There was an affidavit that was deposed by Zgameka, but so the chairperson of the committee earlier on when he was being interviewed in the morning, he says they went to the Financial Intelligence Center.
If I told them we don't report to you.
No, but the question is, why would you go there? Yeah. You are sitting here with a member of this house that is being, a complaint has been laid against. Why are you not asking him? Thabo, it doesn't matter how much I hate you. You have to be fair in your process. We know, even murderers, they are given an opportunity to respond themselves. But here, no, DP was never asked to respond. Instead, they go and ask other institutions of the information that DP would have easily produced. So you can see that really they were...
What is their interest in finding the deputy president of the EFF guilty?
Thabo, it has been an issue from day one that they want to taint the name of the EFF. They want this VBS saga to be an EFF issue. From day one, I mean, currently as we speak, people are being prosecuted, people are being taken to court and all that. Others are already in jail. None of the leaders of the EFF are facing any of those things. I hear now the DA leader says is going to put pressure on the Hawks and the SIU. They've been investigating from as early as when this issue was reported. Nothing has been done so far to the leader of the EFF and to the deputy president of the EFF. So there's nothing that links the EFF to VBS. And so, we must report fairly.
The Registrar of Members of Interest, Advocate Anthea Gordon, saying that the 180,000 is from Zgameka projects, as you put it, between the 18th of August to the 26th of August 2017. John Steyn is saying that, well, that money is related to the VBS scandal because, again, Polly van Wyk was on a little bit earlier today, and here's what she has to say on that. She says that the truth is that, in fact, let's just play the clip so that you can hear from her exactly what she has to say and why they're drawing the link between the two.
The truth is the truth, and that will not change. The money flows had come from VBS-linked companies to Zgameka, which was managed by Brian Shivambu, but the ultimate beneficiaries were Mahuna Investments and Grand Azania, which each of those were the front companies for Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu, and I proved it in numerous ways in terms of tracking who the properties are owned by, who the cars are owned by, and the cards, the bank cards linked to those accounts, followed Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu right around the country. It means that the beneficial owners of the money was Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu. No one else. Very few, like 100,000 or so, went to Brian Shivambu that I could trace. So very few of the millions that they stole went to anyone else. So they can call me what they want. They should take me to court rather, and let's fight it out in an open court where all of us can bring our evidence and see who then comes out on top. Because that they haven't dared to do. They haven't dared to take me to court.
It's one investigative journalist who's created that link. The DA seems to believe that is certainly linked in such a manner.
You know, the Chief Justice, Polly van Wyk, if she says she claims she's got evidence, why is she not giving it to the Hawks? She's actually defeating the ends of justice because she's got evidence that links the Deputy President and the President of the EFF to this, and she's keeping it. Instead, she's talking to you. Why is she not handing it over to the Hawks and the police and the SIU? So she is actually defeating the ends of justice. She must be arrested. We won't waste our time with nobody's tab. We are busy. I'm coming from Mpumalanga there to do Umuntu Mtwini. That's our campaign. 2024 is going to be our 1994. We don't have time for useless people like Polly. Who's Polly after all? But what is more painful, and the message that we want to draw to South Africans is, especially blacks in particular, is that according to Polly and all of them, John Stays and all of them, it means a black person can't do business. This Gameka was a business. It had projects that it was doing. It got paid. The money that went into Gameka, it was not only from VBS, as loan from VBS. They were doing other work outside the VBS loans that they received. So the money that is being talked about now is as if Gameka only received money from the VBS bank. That's not correct. So Brian Shivambu was almost 29 years at the time. He has got every right to trade and do business in this country. He's an African child, and Polly van Wyk and them must not think that only white people can own businesses in this country. We also deserve to own businesses in this country. So that is what is more painful is because they don't see us as people who can actually do business and succeed in business. Yeah. They must always link us to being thieves and stealing money and all that. But I'm saying at the end of it, Thabo, we're not going to take Polly van Wyk to court. We don't have time for that. Yeah. She's got evidence. She must be asked, why is she withholding that evidence? Because then it means she's defeating the ends of justice.
But are
the bottom line,
committee, well, at least the Deputy President saying he's taking this report.
We're encouraging him to do that. We're encouraging him to do that because despite numerous times where he said the money was a loan, there's no law in Parliament or any rule or nothing that says that you must disclose your loans. You must disclose your loans. This is a loan. If there's any dispute, the creditor and the debtor, they're here. Yeah. The debtor is Floyd Shivambu. The creditor is Gameka. So why are the two parties not being called?
They're saying he didn't declare these payments, according to them, at all.
They are not declarable because it's a loan. It's not a donation. In Parliament, you declare what is a donation. Anything that is above 1,500 rand in the form of a donation. But a loan, you are not obliged by anything. There's no law. They must show us the rule in Parliament that says the loans must be disclosed. There's no law in the country. There's no law anywhere in South Africa, including in Parliament, that says that the loans must be disclosed. And that is why the Deputy President saw no need to disclose a loan. No one disclosed. I've got loans myself. John Steenhuisen, he's got loans himself. He's not obliged to disclose them. No one is obliged to disclose them by Parliament. If there is such a rule, they must bring it forward and say, we're charging the DP because he did not disclose a loan. Until then, there's nothing to speak about.
We'll continue after the break. Still with us, Omphile Maotwe will touch on other issues, as she says. She's busy coming from Mpumalanga. There are also lots of other issues that she needs to weigh in on. Stay with us. Of course, the political parties saying that a transgression obviously was committed according to the committee, and hence the sanction. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a sanction if there was no transgression.
So, we must not, and it happened also with Advocate Buswem Koban, where rules were ignored, and because people wanted to rush to a certain conclusion. We must never accept that as South Africa, because we're setting a wrong precedent, which will affect this country very negatively. There is a complaint about you, Thabo. You must be afforded an opportunity to give us your side of the story. When you give your side of the story, people say, no, that's not true. Your side is not true. But they can't prove that it's not true, despite the fact that you have proven yourself that it is true. The complaint is that the DP did not disclose the money. DP comes and says, but there's no need for me to declare because this is a loan. The committee says, no, it was not a loan. Based on what? How did they arrive at that conclusion?
So they don't give you that? As the member of parliament, they say to you, no, it was not a loan, it was a donation. They didn't give the deputy president of EFF why they reached that. Because, of course, we are not privy to that, but he is the person directly involved. They should at least afford him that kind of explanation.
They ignored that, Thabo. I'm saying if DP's version is that there is a loan, which is a correct version, the least they could have done is not to go to FIC, is to go to the lender and say to the lender, did you borrow Mr. Shivambu money? The lender deposed an affidavit that says, I lended the borrower this amount of money. Why is the committee disputing that? On what basis is the committee disputing that?
Yeah, that's the question I'm asking. On what basis? Did they not provide the basis?
No, they did not. They did not provide the basis. Nothing. They ignored all that evidence. They ignored the affidavit of Sgameka. They ignored the affidavit of the deputy president that says, I borrowed money. Sgameka lended me the money. Sgameka, did you lend Deputy President Floyd Shivambu money? Yes. Case closed. They did not do that. The facts are there on the table. They ignored the fact because they want to run with a narrative that says DP received money. And even worse now, they want to link it to VBS. Because why? They want this VBS thing to be on EFF's name. It's not correct. And we must not accept that. The laws of this country must not be ignored. The rules must not be ignored. The facts must not be ignored. Let's play the ball and not the man.
Yeah. I suppose we can't then even begin to speak about the leniency of the sanction at this particular point because you are completely rejecting the sanction itself and in fact the whole entire process, because now the late comment is that, well, it was a slap in the wrist.
There's nothing, Thabo, that DP did, honestly, and the committee should actually be ashamed of themselves, wanting to pin something that doesn't exist. If DP takes this thing to court, they're going to be ashamed, and they must really be punished for that, for misleading the country and misleading everybody else. Because why did they ignore the fact that there's a loan when there's proof that there was a loan? They've never asked Sgameka to come and explain himself. They've not asked DP to explain himself except through writing, which he did. And even with that, they still ignored because they wanted to have a different outcome. Yeah. So there's nothing to talk about. There's no sanction of anything. We're rejecting that report, and we're encouraging the Deputy President to take them to court.
I tell you, who else you're encouraging to take the report to court after the Section 194 process, which you were a part of, is the public protector. But I'm not talking about that now. Now I'm talking about the gratuity, the 10 million that she is supposed to be getting, and I believe Parliament is now at least going to be deliberating on that, on whether or not she should be getting it. What is your position as the EFF?
No, we as we said, we reject the outcome of the report. I was sitting in that committee with the president of the EFF. Throughout, that committee was biased. It was procedurally unfair in many accounts. And even when the evidence, like I said, even with the case of DP, even when the evidence was given to the committee that Chair, you can't do this. Will it change anything if you step aside and a neutral person comes and chair this committee? They still ignored. We wrote letters to the Speaker to say, please, can you ask the Chair to recuse himself or remove the Chair, bring a different Chair? We're not saying the Chair must come from the EFF. The Chair can still come from the ANC. So the whole thing was unfair. The last one, Thabo, was when they ignored the Constitutional Court judgment that said Busisiwe Mkhobane is obliged to have a legal representation. They ignored all that. They continued from end of March, let's say beginning of April, all the way up to the last time when the report was tabled before the committee as a final report in July, and then adopted early in August. But throughout the process, Thabo, we have told them that it is wrong what you're doing. It doesn't matter how you want to fast-track this issue, but it can't be at the expense of somebody else's future and ignoring the facts and the laws of this country. That is wrong, and they still continue because they said, if they don't finish, the process is going to be moved after she finishes her term. Yeah. So it was never about justice. It was about rushing to block her from receiving that grant. They must give her that grant.
So what contribution are you going to be making in that deliberation?
They must give her that grant.
Is it?
Yeah, they must give it to her. She finished her term. They managed to successfully delay her release of the Phala report. We must never forget that Ramaphosa suspended Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane immediately after Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane said, I'm going to investigate Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa is the worst president we've ever had. Not even President Zuma did this. Tulima Donzela was allowed, under the presidency of Jacob Zuma, to still investigate Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma never rushed to suspend him, her, or anything. He allowed the process to unfold until the end, until the same process found him that he got money that he needs to pay.
President Ramaphosa was still investigated by the Office of the Public Protector.
No, she wasn't. Who investigated Ramaphosa?
The Office of the Public Protector. No. Now, currently with the acting Public Protector, Advocate Talek. He was still investigated, was he not?
No. So already the signs were there that Busisiwe Mkhwebane is going to find something. And then they had to suspend her because they knew that the acting one is not going to do what the Busisiwe was going to do. So really, and the issue here is that this person is a deputy PP. She's got aspirations to be the PP, and therefore she's going to toe the line and do everything that the master says she must do. That's why you even saw her coming to the interviews, which is the question I posed to her. Why did you accept to act as a PP when you knew that you've got aspirations to be the PP? Because the PP's term is 7 years, Thabo. The reason why it's not renewable is such that you don't do anybody any favors, knowing that you want an extension. She had to do this favor to Ramaphosa so that she can be appointed. Am I wrong? There is the ANC that voted for her to be sent to Parliament to be endorsed as a PP.
Well, I mean, if you ask the ANC, they'll tell you you're wrong. That's certainly the answer that they will give. They say it's a democratic process. They voted on
6 members. So
process.
the 7 people that voted for Kalega in that interview, 6 members are ANC members, and 1 is IFP.
Yeah. If 6 members were EFF, would they have voted differently? Or would they have also voted for one particular candidate?
But I'm saying to you,
in terms of how political parties work.
No, but I'm saying to you, this person was earmarked. It's tit for tat. You kill this Phala farm issue, I give you the PP. It's like that. We must not be fooled, Thabo. I mean, it's 2023 now. We can't still be played like as if we are kids. You killed this one of Phala, and what did she do? She killed it. Why are you surprised, Thabo? And then go to the interviews and bring 6 members of the ANC, which is the majority, and obviously with the support now of the IFP, they got it. So why are you surprised?
Let's leave it there. Omphile Maotwe, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming in. That is the Treasurer General of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Omphile Maotwe.